All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to today's Steven's Corner episode where we're going to have some really cool stuff. One of the most powerful tools that we have as a human can also be one of the most detrimental tools that we have to our success, and that's our ability to think. We do it all day long. You've probably heard the research where it says, hey, we typically have around 60,000 thoughts per day. That's a lot of thoughts, right? And how many are you actually conscious of? Very, very few of those. There was also another study that came out that said 90 to 95% of our thoughts every day are repeat thoughts from yesterday and the day before and the day before. So, what does all of this kind of mean? So, think about it from the perspective that we're trying to create a life of success and prosperity. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, right? You're trying to create a business, or you're trying to create wealth, you're trying to create freedom for yourself. And oftentimes, most of us, at least through my journey as an entrepreneur, a lot of the days are more frustrating than are pleasant and happy and easy, at least until I kind of figured this out. And so all of that research makes sense. If you're an entrepreneur and you're not where you want to be, which, let's face it, most entrepreneurs are never where they want to be because they keep moving the goalpost down the road. If you're not where you want to be, and 90 to 95% of your thoughts every day are the same as yesterday, and you're constantly believing that you're not where you want to be, where do you end up? You're going to keep ending up where you don't want to be, which is highly frustrating and highly stress creating. So, when I actually started to kind of learn this and learn the power of our thoughts, it had a huge impact and a huge change on my life. First, it changed internal. It allowed me to be a little less stressed, a little more happy, a little more joyful in my days, enjoy the true experience of creating a business. And once I started doing that, then things started to shift in kind of physical reality, right? Then the business started to grow, revenue started to increase, profitability started to increase, all of those things. But I had to figure out first that I had to become aware of what my thoughts were, and then I had to start changing those. So this is not an easy thing to do, and it takes some time, it takes some frustration, it takes some joy. You laugh at yourself a lot. But if 90 to 95% of your thoughts every day are the same as yesterday, think about that. Those have built really deep neural pathways in your brain. And so it's going to take a little bit of self-awareness and a little bit of effort to start changing those thoughts. So take a moment right now and sit down and really think about it. What do you think about all day long? There's a really good chance that most of you wake up in the morning and you start thinking the same thoughts that you did yesterday. And honestly, a lot of those probably aren't good. You're sitting there thinking like, okay, like what's going to go wrong today? Where am I going to get screwed today? Where are we going to fail today? Where's revenue not going to come from? All of these types of things that just aren't serving you. And it can feel weird at first. Like, I get it. The whole Stuart Smalley and power of positive thinking and stuff like that. Like, it can seem kind of janky and fake that you just sit there and say, oh, I am rich, I am wealthy, I am happy, all of those kind of things. But ultimately, there's some deep truth to that. And that's what you have to start focusing on. So you've got to take control over your thoughts. And you can start doing that by having some sort of a morning routine. That's what I do every morning. I do some sort of affirmations in the morning, but I don't do them from the standpoint of just kind of like BS. Like, I'm going to say I'm rich, I'm wealthy, but yet ultimately my deep down layer of thoughts is like, you're totally full of shit. So, but you've got to start taking control of that. And so when I started doing this, like which by the way, I failed at this for many, many years. So I used to do affirmations that would say things like, I am rich, I am a millionaire, I am all these things, but it just didn't actually feel true. And the true thought beneath it was like, no, you're full of shit is what you are. So if that's the case for you, try starting with something a little simpler. Try starting with something like, I can do this. It is possible. Start with something that you can actually believe in a little bit, and then build up to the other things. Build up to actually believing in your revenue goals and your profit goals, and all of those types of things. But you've got to start taking control of those thoughts, and you've got to start turning them in order for your life to actually change. When I was going down this path, I kept this quote in mind: "What's simple is not always easy." And I can assure you that if you can start kind of taking control of your thoughts and giving them proper direction and not just running the same pattern over and over again, it will have a dramatic impact on your life. And I know some of you might be saying, like, ah, dude, like, there's just no way this is going to work. It's too easy. It's too simple, or all of that kind of stuff. But I can assure you that it will. And I can also assure you that when you start trying this, it's going to probably be very frustrating because, again, those neural pathways are so deep because you've been running the same program over and over and over and over and over and over for so many years that it's going to take some time to reprogram those, but it will be worth it. And so tomorrow morning when you wake up and you start doing this and your mind tells you, like, ah, there's no way it's this easy, like, ah, there's no way that I could actually be successful, keep doing it. Keep doing it for the next day and the next day. And typically within about 2 weeks, you will start to see your mind fight those positive thoughts less and less and less. And the positive ones will actually start to take over. And before you know it, within a month or two, you'll be walking down the street actually believing, hey, I can do this. Hey, it is possible. And you might not know exactly how you're going to do it. You don't need to know that right now, but you just need to get your mind believing that it's possible. And then it'll start seeing opportunities. You'll start making different decisions. You'll start showing up differently energetically for your company, and it will have a really cool impact. So use a little bit of self-awareness right now, and maybe even grab like a yellow pad or something like that and sit down for 5 or 10 minutes and just write down, what are your dominating thoughts. Most of us don't actually take time to think about what we're thinking about. We just assume we're on the right path, and we assume we're thinking positive, and we assume we're working towards our goals. But oftentimes that's not true, because the truth is, if you were thinking positive and you were thinking towards your goals, you would already be a lot further along. So take count of, what are you actually thinking about? Bring a little self-awareness to it, shine a light on it, and then that makes it a little bit easier to replace those thoughts when they come up day to day with something that's a little bit more positive. As far as kind of like how to bring this into entrepreneurship, what I would do is I would grab, what are your goals? Do you actually know what those are? And you need to pick goals that you can believe in. So if you're a, $500,000 a year company and your goal is to get to 10 million, and you're sitting there in the morning saying, I am a $10 million business owner, but you just can't believe it because you can't see that far down the road. Cool. Pick a different one. 1 million, 2 million. Set a goal that feels good to you and then move towards that one. And then once you start feeling good with that one, then you can pick a bigger one. But if you pick something too big that's just totally unconceivable and you just can't even feel it and it just feels so fake and far away, then this isn't going to work. But figure out what your goals are. Every morning, get your mind right. Take a couple moments when you wake up. Don't look at your phone right away. Don't go to the news right away, and don't allow your mind to just start thinking down the same path. Take control of it right away in the morning. So when you get up, maybe take a couple breaths, do a meditation. Doesn't really matter what exactly you do. Go for a run, something like that. Do whatever feels good to you, but don't let your mind just start down the same path, because if you do that in the morning, then it's just going to build momentum throughout the day. You're going to continue thinking the same thoughts, and then you're going to end up in the exact same places you were at the end of the day yesterday. When I started doing this years ago, and I was kind of turning the corner on it and reprogramming a lot of those old thoughts, I would set reminders on my phone for 3, 4 times a day, and it would just say something as simple as, I can. And I would just repeat that to myself when it popped up. I didn't have any expectations around it or anything like that. I was just kind of reprogramming my mind and reprogramming my thoughts a little bit as I went through the day. And then before I knew it, a couple weeks in, then a couple months in, it just started to make a huge difference. I felt better. The business was doing better. I was making better decisions. I was happier. I was able to leave work kind of at work. I was able to go home and have fun time with my family and not worry about stuff all the time, because in my mind, I just knew, I was like, I can do this. And it's going to happen in some period of time. It's never going to be as fast as we want it. As soon as I started letting go of those time frames and just saying, I can do this, it became a lot easier. It became a lot more fun. So I just want everybody to kind of pay attention to how important your thoughts are, and the fact that most of us don't ever think about what we're thinking about all day long. And remember that study, 90 to 95% of our thoughts every day are the same as they were yesterday. So if you keep thinking those same thoughts about, I'm not where I should be, I'm not further along, I wish I was further along, that guy or girl is way further along than me, how did they do that? Those aren't going to get you to where you want to go. So you need to take control, have a little self awareness, figure out what it is that you're thinking about, and then change just one or two of those. It doesn't need to be a complete reprogramming, but something as simple as I can do this, or I can, or it's possible, that'll have a huge, profound impact. And like I said, you're going to have to do this for a couple weeks, and then a couple months, and then a couple years. The journey never really ends. I still have negative thoughts that pop up all the time, but I'm much more self aware of them, and I tend to be able to catch them a lot sooner and switch them in the moment. So it's really important that you just pay attention to what you're thinking about and then slightly shift those. It will have an absolutely profound impact on your life and your business and your happiness and your career and all of those types of things. So pay attention to what you're thinking about and make some different choices today.